Welcome to Move Like a Leader, day one. I am going to give people a few moments to come on. And so while I do, for anyone here who is watching replay, I'm going to just go through a couple of the logistical pieces. So if you're here right now, you already know this training is happening live on Substack. So you've already found your way here, or you found your way on the replay, which is wonderful. This is where the training is going to be for the next 3 days. So today we're doing it at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Over the next 2 days, it's going to be an hour later. So I believe like 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern time. So welcome, welcome. I'm so happy you guys are here. In today's training, in the entire series of the training, my intention is to teach you how to get out of your head, that place where you're thinking about something, you're planning about something, you're dreaming about it, you're talking about it, and into your action, where you're actually doing it. I want to give you the tools to bring your ideas to life, to their fullest expression, because maybe you're taking some action and you're doing some things around your dreams, but it's not to the fullest expression, and you feel like there's a part of you that's like not quite as expressed as you want to be. And so that's my intention through this workshop, is you have a clearer understanding. I want to do the big picture, right? I want you to have an understanding of, big picture wise, what is required for you to actually start making moves on your dreams. And then also that you have smaller picture, right? I want us to zoom out and have you understand the entire framework that I'm going to be teaching, but I also want us to zoom in and have you guys to have real takeaways, tangible, practical shifts that you can make here today. Okay, so let me know if this sounds good to you. Drop a yes in the chat if this sounds good. I'll go through, I already did some of the logistics, but what I will say is this is what I'm so excited about this training is, one, it's a topic I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Inner leadership is something I teach inside my current program, The Sanctuary. It's something I'm so passionate about. It's something I constantly need work on myself. And so it really feels like, hey, I am doing this work. I'm doing it hard. Come do this with me. And what I'm going to be doing at the end of this training, I have a group program that's starting. It's going to be starting in April. And this program, I'm not going to give a ton of details on it, but what I will say is the one word I want to share with you guys right now is it's going to be an academy. For some reason, that just feels so exciting to me. It's going to be starting in April. Now, I'm not going to open enrollment until March, at March 22nd. But what I want to do through this training is tomorrow, I'm going to give you a little bit more details, and we're going to actually start a pre-sale where it'll happen for just a very short period of time. You'll have 3 days to get in at this 50% off discount, because it truly is move like a leader. If you want to move, there's not going to be a ton of information you'll be working with. So it's not going to be for everyone to come in at that price point, but it's ready to move like a leader. That's what it's going to be. And this is the kind of work that just, it's so much deeper. It's really the foundation. I was listening to a podcast recently about quantum leaping. You guys know I was trying to do my quantum leap last year, and I did. I had different quantum leap moments, but I couldn't maintain it. What I realized is I was quantum leaping the wrong thing. I was trying to quantum leap my business instead of trying to quantum leap my personhood, my identity and my personal development, and really focusing on that as the pure outcome. And so that's a big part of the stuff we're going to talk about. So for anyone here who does not know me, hello, welcome. Also, if we want to get the chat poppin', if anyone wants to, let me know just where you guys are from. What time is it for you? What time zone are we in? It's just, the sun just came up here. I'm in Malaysia. It's 7:40 in the morning. And yeah, I would just love to know where in the world everybody is coming from. And I'm just so excited to dive in. Philly. Okay, so we've got some East Coasters. Yeah, so unfortunately, the time zone is not great for European people or anyone in Asia who doesn't want to get up as early as I do. So welcome, my loves. So anyone who doesn't know me, I am Coach Chelsea. I left my medical career back in 2019. Now I run a multi-six-figure coaching business from cafes around the world, Airbnbs around the world. I'm traveling while I do it. And I'm also founder of the newly created 100K Healer podcast and community, and Substack, which is what we're doing this on right now. My big mission that I'm anchoring into right now is helping you find a profitable way to share your gifts. with the world, right? Because if you're here, if you were drawn to this training, if you were drawn to joining us today, it's you have some kind of medicine, some kind of message, some kind of story, ideas. Like you have something you want to share with the world. And what I want to do through this training, through all of my work, is to help you bring that to life. And not just bring it to life that you're acting on it, but bring it to life in a way that you get paid for it. And the two ways they do that, one, strategically, I teach clinicians, healers, wellness professionals how to build a coaching offer that makes selling feel like service. And then we also do the inner evolution work, which is becoming the leader who has the capacity to hold your vision, to hold your mission, right? It's becoming the version of you who lives the life you're dreaming about right now. Because there is a gap in that right now. If you have things that you're thinking about, you're dreaming about, which we'll get into in just a moment, but one of the big reasons you're not acting on that and living that out right now is there's a gap in like who you're being. Not that there is anything wrong with you. It's just there are some skills that we need to learn, that we need to train in order to become the person you want to be, in order to carry out the ideas that are calling to you. And so speaking of those, let's anchor into that in this moment. I have this concept that I've talked about for a while of like the nagging idea. And I think most of us can relate to that. And it might be one, it might be multiple. But there is something that's kind of haunting you, right? There's some idea that keeps coming to you in one form or another. When I was in college, I was like, I'm going to start a blog about, I'm going to read the Cosmopolitan of the month and I'm going to document myself doing every single thing that they tell me to do. And then like, see what happens. Like that would have been such a banger if I had done that. Like, wow. Did not do it. Did not act on it. I wanted to start another blog in med school about like my interactions with patients. And then I got worried about HIPAA. And then finally in residency, I was like, okay, a travel blog. We're going to do it. So the nagging idea was blog, like writing, putting my work out there, and not just writing. It was like writing through about my story, like living and documenting my living, my livingness, like observing my reality in a way that allows me to document and like kind of turning my life into a story. So that's this idea that kept haunting me in one way or another. And it's still an idea that it's not even haunting me now, but I'm acting on it and finding different ways to express it. So for you, what is your nagging idea? Maybe it's well formed and has a shape. Maybe it is very unclear and you're like, I don't know. Like, I just want to. One of my clients was like, I just want to sit with women over tea and talk to them about healing. And I was like, okay, great. So it was like tea, talking, healing, right? What is your nagging idea? I want you to tune into that. What is that thing that keeps coming to you? The thing that fills you with excitement, but then immediately you kind of back away and you're like, oh, but I don't know. That's like so big that couldn't be me. And I want you to just let that rise to the surface. Maybe it's that thing you only talk about. There's like one person you talk about it with. Maybe you haven't said it out loud yet. Maybe you have a series of ideas of things you are thinking about. But another way that I've been conceptualizing it recently is this idea of like we're kind of drowning in our potential energy. Like there's just so much potential we have that's just underexpressed. And so if you want to share that, would love for you to pop that in the chat. This is a wonderful safe space. I will completely encourage you and cheer you on. It's one of my favorite things to do is hear people's big dreams. Like I feel like people tell this to me in so many contexts that I'm truly like honored and grateful for it. And I think this just like helps also just make it tangible. So what are your nagging ideas? What are these big picture things that are coming to you? I have some that they're not quite. I'll tell you guys here. There's some that I've been like talking about And I keep putting it as like, "Oh, someday, someday." And I'm like, "You know what? I've very been saying this someday for a couple of years now. So that's not that's not the way I operate. What are we doing?" I have some kind of vision for like a healing center of sorts where it's like but it's healing and co-working. It's yeah, there's like this saying of there's the four healing solves. It's like when did you stop dancing? When did you stop singing? When did you stop telling stories? When did you stop being in silence? I'm not telling this well at all, but it's like the four healing solves. And I have an idea for like a healing center that combines like storytelling, singing, dancing, and silence. And it's all kind of combined together. But then it's also there's probably the academy will be there too. So I have this thought. And then another thought is for a gap year. So like for students who are, they're coming out, they're graduating. And basically right now I help with people who have gone on the path that is like the wrong path for them, the not aligned path. And I want to kind of catch them earlier. I want to catch them before they jump off onto a non aligned path. And meet them there. And the gap year would be service. It would be getting to know yourself, getting to travel. It would just be like this really beautiful experience of like individuation before actually choosing your life path. And so those are some of my ideas. You see how baked, half baked, not baked they are? But these are some of the bigger picture things that are coming to me that have been nagging me for a while now. And maybe yours doesn't have any sort of structure yet. But I want you guys to just anchor to it. If anything, I want you to have that feeling of your idea. That sensation of being connected to that idea. And throughout this training, whenever you feel like it, feel free to pop your idea into the chat. Love to hear any version of it that you want to share. But now the thing that happens is we have these ideas, we can get really inspired, we can even talk about them, but there's a hesitation, right? Because what we need to do, what I want to teach you guys to do is teach you how to bring those ideas into reality, how to stop just talking about them and thinking about them and dreaming about them, and how to take action to bring them to life. Now, some ideas are just fun to talk about. It doesn't mean we have to bring every idea to life, but I think for many of us, there comes a point where we're frustrated with ourselves for our lack of action. And let me know if you're in this point right now. I've had a lot of people come to me, like just drop a yes if this is where you are in this moment, where you're in your head and you're hesitating and you feel frustrated with yourself because of it, right? Like you've kind of reached this point where you're like, I want to make moves. And there's several reasons that we tell ourselves that we're hesitating. So I'm going to go through these reasons. And what I want you to do is also just pay attention. Let me know if like this is the thing that you have told yourself as well, because these are the ones I hear. These are the ones I've told myself. This is all things I've been through as well. So we have this idea. We're so excited by it, but we're also scared by it. And so what's happening is we're hesitating. Okay. And we tell ourselves that we're hesitating because we don't have enough clarity yet. That's one, right? Like, oh, my idea is too vague. I just don't know what it is yet. Like, I'm going to take action once I have enough clarity. As soon as I actually know what it is, when it's more fully formed, more fully baked, then I'm going to take action, right? So that's one reason. I don't have enough clarity. But the thing here is you do have directional clarity and you're still not moving, right? You do have directional clarity, which is something I talk about in my program. Directional clarity is like, enough to take a step forward. Like you probably don't know the end thing, but there is enough and you're still not taking steps forward. So it's not that. It's not that you don't have enough clarity because you already have a level of directional. Like you already know something you could do to move towards it. The other reason we tell ourselves we're hesitating is you want to make sure you get it right. Right? Like once I know for sure it's the right idea, when I know it's going to work out, Like, once I know this is right, it's like then I'll go for full force. Like, I'll go full in, but I just need to know that it's right. Like, by right, it could be I need to know that it's gonna work out. I need to know that it's worth putting my time and energy into. I've had clients who've had so many different business ideas, and they're just kind of paralyzed because 'cause they're like, "Well, I don't know which one is right." As if we're waiting for someone else to give us permission. We're waiting for some kind of oracle into the future to tell us which one's the right idea, which is we're waiting for a guarantee, for certainty before we're taking action. Or we tell ourselves we're hesitating. I'm hesitating because I'm just not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need to get more education. I need more certifications. I need more experience. The thing I'm telling myself is like, I need my business to be in a more like stable place where it feels like I don't have to put in as much energy to the business and then I can start on some other projects. Okay, but I've been saying that for a while. So am I actually taking action around that? Right? I'm not ready yet. We could say it's like a circumstance that makes us not ready. Could be like we need more education, we need something. And then the other one, which is the one that breaks my heart the most, which I think we all do, and I want just to mitigate this as much as possible, is we tell ourselves we're hesitating because there's something wrong with us, right? Like, I'm not brave enough. I am not motivated enough. I am not like a disciplined person. I'm not creative. I'm not funny enough, whatever it is. Like, I'm not decisive. Like, we kind of bring it into this personality flaw. Well, I just care too much what everyone else thinks. And so I'm just too worried about being judged. So like I just can't do it. Like we see people who are living out the thing they want to do and we put them into one category of like that's the kind of person who goes for it and I am not that kind of person. Right? And I think that's the most damaging one because it's harmful to self and it feels very the other ones feel like there's possibility, like once I'm ready, I will do it. But this one's like, oh, I'm just not the kind of person who does it. And what I want you to know is it is literally none of those things. As somebody who has been through having these ideas, thinking about these things, and finally like becoming the person who gets out of their head and takes action, coming from my own experience, it's none of those things. The reason that you're hesitating, the reason you're struggling to get out of your head and just start taking action is there's some skills that you haven't trained yet. So it's not a you problem. It's not like a personality problem. It's not a clarity problem. It's just a skills problem, which is great news because skills can be learned. And so think about it like this. I'm trying to think of like, let's say unhinged, like you just wake up one day and someone's like, hey, you're going to go fly this helicopter tomorrow or today. You're going to go fly this helicopter today. You're going to go here and you're going to fly the helicopter. We're just going to drop you off at the landing place and you're going to fly it. How are you going to feel about that? Right? Probably going to panic. I would absolutely panic. Wow. You don't know how to do it. You do not have the skills. You have not trained how to fly a helicopter. You also may have fear of like being in a vehicle, like you might have fear of flying, all reasonable. So you haven't trained yourself to regulate and kind of be calm in that fear, right? Like say if you're going to just go be a Navy SEAL tomorrow, would not want to do that because you haven't trained. You don't have the training. And this is something that kills me about the medical field. Now that I know what I know about like the nervous system and performance and capacity, this is going to be a quick little soapbox. It is it's negligence that our medical training system does not include nervous system training. It's not even okay. There's nothing about that will ever be okay because we are in these life or death situations. We have so much pressure and so much responsibility, and we are never trained on how to regulate our nervous systems and grow our capacity, understand our window of tolerance. It's just not okay. So we're not trained, right? We don't have training in the medical world. They don't just throw you into a surgery and say, just go ahead and cut them open. There is training, right? But the thing that we don't train, the other thing that's an issue we do not train communication skills. We do not train like the typical leadership skills that you see. These are all different leadership skills, but we're not trained, right? And when you are thrown into an environment where you do not have the skills, you are unable to complete the task because, like, of course you're going to panic. Of course you're going to want to avoid doing it in the first place. Like, could you learn the skills? Yes. But if you had just this one moment to learn it all on the fly, like, it's not, this is, I think, what a lot of us are trying to do for our goals, right? We have these ideas of things we want to do. And I'm not even talking about the skills required to complete the goal, right? I'm not talking about the technical skills required to complete the goal. I'm talking about the leadership skills that are required for us to become a person who takes risks, to become a person who can make decisions without having all the information figured out, to become a person who knows how to regulate through rejection and through, like, I feel like we all need social media training just as humans. Like, how do you, I don't know, like, how do you handle yourself when you're living in a world that uses social media? I feel like when I was thinking of the hockey players and everything that's happening with them, and people are like, they're media trained. Okay, they've been media trained. We don't have our media training. And I'm not talking about social media, but there's just training that we don't have, right? So that's the thing I want to just anchor in this moment is the reason that you're hesitating, the reason that you're in your head and you're not taking action on your ideas is because you're missing some key skills, right? There are skills that you just haven't trained yet. And that's such great news because skills are learnable, skills are buildable. And once you learn them and build them, then you're becoming the person who brings those ideas to life. I think what I have really struggled with in the coaching space is when people like are talking about identity work and they're like, oh, you just have to upgrade your identity or you have to quantum leap things. And there's no mention of like skills. Like, it's not identity. It is identity. Identity is a part of it, but it's like you actually need real skills. And so that's what we're going to talk about through this training. There are 3 days of the training. Day 1, each day we're going to cover a kind of conglomerate of skills. So I have grouped all of the leadership skills into 3 main foundational skills. Now, each of those are quite large and there's sub skills within them, but we're going to go into the 3 different skills of inner leadership. And I'm creating this whole operating system around it, and it's called Leadership OS, and I'm super excited. So the first skill I want to talk about, I want to start off before I share what the actual skill is. I want to start off by telling a story to just illustrate this skill. So last year, it was almost a year ago, actually, today, I was doing this My Million Dollar Year project. And so every single week, I was choosing something to do out of my comfort zone. I was writing articles for Kevin MD. I was doing workshops for people. Like, there was every single week, I was just like, go do something that scares you. And sometimes it was business, sometimes it was personal, but I was just like getting out of my comfort zone. And so one of the things I did was I signed up for a hike. I signed up for, like, it was a big hike in the future to summit the tallest mountain in the tallest volcano in Mexico. And it's like 18,000 something feet, 5,000 meters. And it's called Pico de Orizaba. And to train for it, I had to do all of these other training hikes. So I started off with like a 14,000 volcano. And then did that, which was amazing. Then I did a 15,000 foot volcano. So it's like every weekend I'm doing these crazy hikes that I'm getting up really early and I'm going. And it is really fun. Okay. There is a lot of joy to it. I'm really enjoying the training. But then I hit this point where I'm doing the 17,000 foot volcano. So this is the one that's like really serious. This is the first overnight one. It's like the one before the big one. And I'm at base camp and it's maybe like 10, 11 p.m. We have to get up at midnight because you do these summit pushes like really early. And I am in the tent and I cannot sleep. And what I do, I've done this before when I've kind of had like altitude anxiety or just like anxiety. Like I was very cold. I was shivering even though I had all my layers on. And the person next to me was not cold. Like I don't even really know. I think my cold was just like my nervous system as well. Like I'm just like shivering, like kind of uncontrollably. And I turn on Tara Brach, who is probably my favorite just soother of the meditation. Yeah, she just has these really soothing meditations. And so I listen to Tara Brach and she kind of guides you to do body scans. And so I'm going into my body and I don't remember what episode it was or what she asked me to do. I just remember like I'm doing this body scan. And the thing I just like, it just registers all of a sudden. Like we we don't feel safe. Like my body. Like I don't feel safe. And I haven't felt safety for weeks. It was almost like I had been hanging on a cliff and like my feet were like, "Ah." And it was like my body was saying like, we haven't been on like solid ground safety for weeks because I had been doing all of these other things to like push myself out of my comfort zone. I had some other personal stuff happening with like my visa situation and family members. And so it was like in that moment, my body was just like, we haven't had, that feeling of safety, like the relief, oh my God, I can exhale now. It was like, we have not experienced this in weeks. And it was like very clear in this moment. I was like, I am so under resourced right now. I was trying to take bold actions. I was taking bold actions, but I wasn't resourcing my nervous system to keep up pace. So I was very overstretched. And when you're overstretched, you like you're too far past. And so I felt fragile. I think that's the best way I can describe it is I felt fragile. And so I did the summit push. I like did attempt it, but was like, I can't do it. Like I don't have reserves with which to push my body forward. So I didn't get very far into the summit push. And I was like, I just remember like crying most of that day because I was just like, my body, all it wanted it was like, I want to be warm and safe and like cozy and wrapped up. And so I'm like on this mountain at like how high elevation? I was probably at 14,000 feet, 15,000 feet at that point in the dark, cold. I don't have the right gloves. And my body's like, we don't want this. So I lost all desire to even get to the summit because I had no resources within me, right? Completely overstretched. And I had a very like emotional day that day and even like the next couple days because I just like felt this feeling of like I failed. I set myself to do something and I couldn't cut it. I couldn't handle, I have this like inner dialogue happening. And in Aligned Income, I share another part of that story, which I won't go into now. I had some very like healing moments through that experience. But what I want to share now is the next few days, I was like processing it with one of my friends and she gave me the best analogy that I still think about. It still sticks with me. And I feel so grateful that I have friends who like give me wisdom like this, like in just a casual conversation. It's like, what a beautiful like experience to have just like deeply wise friends. Okay. So I kind of explained to her what happened on the mountain and she just goes into, so I used to be a gardener. I didn't even know this about her. Like she was a pretty close friend, and I was like, "Where did this hobby come from?" Just hilarious. But she was like, "When you're gardening a plant, I'm not going to use the right words. If you're a gardener, I'm sorry." But she's like, "There's something you can do with a plant where like you can kind of artificially you can put the light really high." And it kind of forces the plant to grow faster, right? She's like, where you place the light can change the speed of growth. So, like, you put the light really high up, and the plant can grow really fast. So you can kind of like trick it into growing and like shooting up. And that might seem like a great thing to do, but the problem is you're not giving the roots the chance to also grow to match the speed that you're kind of shooting it up artificially. You're like, okay, come all the way up here. And it can do it, but it's not doing it in the right way because it's not also having the roots are not having the chance to grow. And she's like, there's two ways a plant grows. It grows up like above the soil, but it also grows down, right? The roots are growing. That is still growth. It's still growth. And that's wild to me. Like it is growth, but I didn't think of it like that. But the roots are growing down and they're creating stability. They're creating this foundation. And if you're shooting the plant up, right? Because you want to see the growth, right? Because the growth that are the roots is the growth beneath the surface, right? That's not the sexy growth that you're seeing and you're noticing. It's happening. It's stabilizing. It is growth, but you don't really see it, right? You're not see it in the same way. It doesn't have the same, sexiness and the outside appearance, and it doesn't have that kind of validation. And so when you try to shoot the plant up, because you put the light up and it shoom, um, the problem is the roots haven't grown at the same pace as the top. As like this shoot. I should know the words. This would make this whole thing better. Whatever, the root and the shoot, we'll just call it that. The top plant part. And so what happens, it's not steady. So let's say it's outside, if the garden's outside, and then the wind blows, right? It doesn't have a stable foundation. So it's going to fall over in the wind. It's going to, if it's a fruit bearing plant, it's going to bear fruit. Oh, cool, we have a fruit. It's not steady enough to hold it. So it'll fall. So the further down the roots grow, the more solid and sturdy the roots are, the higher the plant can grow in a way that is sustainable, right? Like it can grow in a way that withstands. But if the top is growing faster than the grow down, the roots, you're not creating a stable growth situation. So it's like if you artificially try to rush the growth by placing a goal, right? I put like my $1 million a year goal or the 18,000 foot volcano goal. Like I put a really high goal to motivate my growth, but I had it been growing down because it's not as flashy and sparkly and it's not as like, there's not like the metrics of the growth in the same way, it doesn't impress people in the same way. And so, but when you miss that part, you're not growing down. There's two things that happen, and we'll get into that. But you guys can kind of see the metaphor. And like literally this has stuck with me. So I'm so grateful for this. Because it's just like the way that nature gives us metaphors that we can learn from is so powerful. I have one of my clients who does like nature, wisdom, earth spirituality, and I don't know the details of it, but I'm always just so impressed with like nature. Speaking of nature, there's a bird that just flew. Nature just has the answers. And these kinds of metaphors really like stick with me. So the skill that this is, right? You guys can kind of picture it now. It's like we need to grow our roots as we're growing the top. And the depth through which we grow our roots is the thing that constrains the top growth, right? So the deeper we can grow our roots, the more we can grow up top. And so that, like the root growth, that is your expansion capacity. Okay, so that's the first like conglomerate of skill. So your expansion capacity is your ability to consistently grow without collapsing. Right? And so what that requires is management of your nervous system capacity, of your resources. There's a lot of different pieces. So some of the skills kind of broken up within this. One is self-stewardship, right? It's taking care and responsibility for managing your own resources. Your resources of your time, your resources of your attention, your energy. It's like, you're managing your own resources. And it's also real-time regulation. It's being able to bring yourself back into a down-regulated space when you notice you're activated. Right? It's having that ability to take those deep breaths, to notice you're activated in the moment. There's also interoception. So there's attunement, being able to accurately assess where are my resources right now? How resourced am I? Like, do I have the resources to do this thing? And then to future pace that as well, right? Like, knowing the things I have on my schedule, will I have the capacity next week to do? So there's a lot of different skills that are part of this. One of the skills, which I'm calling it like vagal swole, like you're getting swollen your vagus nerve. You're increasing your vagal tone, right? In some of the nervous system worlds, we call that increasing your window of tolerance. It's you're kind of banking capacity and resilience for the future, kind of adding into this bank. And so all of these are really important components of expansion capacity, right? This is like, because if we just talk about you have to grow your roots, well, what does that mean? What does that even look like? And these are the different components of it. And I think that's what I really love to do is to not just take a skill like, oh, it's your identity, but like not take take a concept that feels kind of vague and feels unactionable and actually break it down in a way that makes it tangible and actionable and something that you can do, right? And so if your expansion capacity is undertrained, one of the biggest indicators is it feels like you don't have leverage over your own behavior. It feels like I did a podcast episode. I did like a 2-part series about like self-sabotage, but they're really safety seeking patterns, right? It seems like you're self-sabotaging. And I think that's the way it's been coined. But the truth is you're just seeking safety because you're beyond your capacity in one way or another. And so if that's undertrained, you feel like you don't have leverage on yourself. You're like, I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it. Or I do something, but or I don't even commit to doing anything in the first place. Like there's just a lot of things where you feel like you don't have this like go button for yourself for anything. And so there's two main ways that this can show up, because the bigger problem here, you don't know where your stretch zone ends and your panic zone begins. So there's a diagram that I probably need to show you guys. It's like the first circle is your comfort zone, right? You're in your comfort zone. The next circle is your stretch zone, right? It's where you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, but it's a stretch, right? The final circle is your panic zone, right? And I think that's the mistake that I make a lot. I really do, is I just go too far and I go into my panic zone but then you collapse and then you go back to your comfort zone and then you create a lot of stories around how you're never gonna, make progress. And so you're almost like traumatizing yourself through this experience, which is a very strange way that the mind and the nervous system all work together, but it really is what happens. So you don't know where your stretch zone ends. Like if your emotional capacity is undertrained, you don't know where your stretch zone ends and your panic zone begins. Because you don't know that, there's two ways that can manifest. One is the Chelsea version where you overstretch, you collapse, and then there's like just start, stop, right? And there's a lot of problems with that. You can see that. But the other problem is you understretch, right? Like you just never even leave your comfort zone because you're so afraid of the collapse because you don't know where it ends and begins, and you're more risk averse than the overstretcher. And so you just understretch and you stay small and you never start and you don't take action. And so they're both painful in their own ways. Like one is you're kind of just going wild and collecting a lot of failures. And in some ways you could be re-traumatizing yourself. In other ways you could be growing, but it's a painful way to grow. So either way, you either interpret it as like I'm inconsistent, I can't ever follow through or do it or figure it out. Or the other one is just like, I'm not the kind of person who goes for things, or like, I'm not brave enough, or I can't just take action, right? So those are the two different ways that it manifests. And so, what I want to do right now, obviously, there are so many skills within this. Like I talked about, I gave us 4 main sub skills. But there's so many parts of this to train. But the first one I want to start with is just to do a little bit of interoception, which is just a little bit of attunement and awareness to kind of assessing your panic zone or your stretch zone. So it's just a little bit of a body based exercise that we're going to do, where you're going to kind of see if you can identify your stretch zone or your panic zone. So, what I want you to do is you're going to choose one of the behaviors. I know you have something that you keep beating yourself up for not doing, either not sticking to it or not starting it. So, what's the thing that you keep like saying you're going to do but don't do, that you do but you don't stick to? Maybe it's like something you're avoiding entirely. Like we all have something like that. So, I want you to choose that one behavior that's coming to you right now. And then I want you to close your eyes unless you're driving, but just picture yourself doing that behavior. There's something you're trying to get yourself to do. I want you to really picture yourself doing it. And then within your body, I want you to notice just how activated do you feel in your body? And we'll do it from a scale of 1 to 10, because that can be an easy way to quantify subjective scale. So 10 is like, I'm so activated, I can't. And 1 is like, I don't, tiny little, tiny little flutter or something. Okay. So 1, barely activated, 10, super activated. Picture yourself doing your behavior, whatever it may be. How activated do you feel in your body? And you may experience activation in different ways. Like you may experience it by like thoughts start to come up, thoughts start to like circle around, like your mean inner mean girl voice comes out. You might experience activation as like just actual physical symptoms, emotions. You might experience activation as like, I want to open my eyes and walk away and be restless. And like you're trying to even avoid being in your body at all. So activation may come in different forms, but just notice how activated do you feel? And put that on that scale of 1 to 10. And now, keeping the same behavior, I want us to just take a few deep breaths just in this moment. Still picturing yourself doing the behavior, but go ahead and put your hand on your belly, one on your chest. And we're just going to take a few breaths where we direct the breath that we're breathing from the belly, right? We're like doing those deep diaphragmatic breathings. But we're also being easy about it. Right? We're not trying to breathe so deeply that we introduce tension into our body. We're just seeing if you can slow your breath down just a little bit. Long, slow inhale. Exhale. Long, slow inhale. Exhale. Long inhale. And exhale. and you're still picturing yourself doing this behavior, but just seeing if it's come down at all, seeing if the activation has come down, checking where the activation is. It may not have come down, and that's okay, but just seeing where it is on the scale of 1 to 10, kind of after taking those deep breaths. And then you're going to go ahead and open your eyes, coming back into our space together. And if you want to share, you can go ahead and put your number in the chat. But what I'll tell you guys is if you are above a 7, right? If you're picturing yourself doing this behavior and you're above a 7, that is your panic zone. Right? We're all going to have subjective measures of assessments, but like your 7, I mean, that's probably the border, but like that's not where we want to start. Right? So if it's a 7 and it stays above a 7 when you're breathing, it's in your panic zone. And so what we need to do, you can see that there's different ways to tackle this, right? So one thing we can do is we can just decrease the behavior initially. We can make it less, right? So for me, if I was really wanting to hike and that was like my big thing, I didn't have to hike 17,000 foot mountains. I could hike 12,000 foot mountains and, just do that over time and build that up over time. Right. So that's like I could decrease the behavior. And that's one thing we can do. And it doesn't mean you're decreasing forever, but it's like you're going to build yourself up, right? Like you pick the behavior that's because if I was hiking 12,000 foot mountains over and over and over again, at some point doing a 17,000 foot mountain wouldn't feel like a 7 because I would be trained. I would be physically trained. Like it would still be a stretch, but it wouldn't be like a panic. Right. Or, 12,000, 12,000, 12,000. Okay, 13,000, 13,000, 13,000, 14. So it's like I can just go up and gradually. So that's one way is like you just kind of, I think a lot of us have this all or nothing mentality where we're like, I'm just going to go all in and then I collapse. The other thing you can do, and it's both, like we're going to tackle it from both angles, is you start increasing your vagal tone, you start increasing your capacity, your ability to handle pressure, your ability to move through pressure, you start increasing that and building trust in that. You build evidence that like you can regulate through pressure. So you're doing that also, right? The vagal swole, you're going to the gym and you're the nervous system gym and you're building your capacity, right? So it's like you're doing both, but you're giving yourself time to move forward. And it's like as we do that, that allows you to have this consistent, steady pace. And I think this is something a lot of us don't really, like me for sure, we don't value as much is like the slow and steady. And it doesn't have to be slow, but just like the steady progress towards a goal. The ability to maintain like a growth trajectory. Because that's the nervous system that's the friendly way to do it. I think when we're trying to like overshoot, it's like we're usually probably doing it from a place of lack or a place of like I'm not enough as I am. Like it's like why do we need to rush? Because we're trying to chase a goal to fill a void within us in some sense. So a huge part of that too is like letting it be this pace. So when you have trained and it's a process, like we're always doing this, but you can see that as you're training your expansion capacity, this gives you the ability to do bigger and bigger and bigger things and to trust yourself in the process and to feel good in the process. It's a huge part of becoming the person who brings your ideas to life. Because picture that, like, you can handle hard things, right? That's kind of expansion capacity. It's like, I know I can handle hard things. essentially. I have the resources, I have the skills, I can handle hard things. So you're not afraid of things in the same way. This is something I've seen with myself as I've grown my business. I'm not afraid of negative feedback or criticism. I'm not afraid of like haters online. I'm not afraid of like someone saying no on a sales call because I've just gone through it and I've built my capacity around it and I know I can handle it. I'm not afraid of solo traveling because again, I've built my capacity around it. I've built evidence, I've built it up. I've built my expansion capacity in that area. And then when you build your expansion capacity globally as well, like I feel like I have the ability now to be a quite regulated human as I move through everything, then it's like, you're not as impacted by all of the ups and downs. Like, you can just like handle things. And that's really what expansion capacity is. It's like, I can handle things. Because one of my favorite teachers, she's like, they don't call them growing joys, right? Like they're growing pains. Like growth is uncomfortable and expansion capacity is your ability to move through and navigate that discomfort without collapsing. So this is our first skill. This is a huge part of the leadership operating system. There's three of them. When this skill is mastered, you have a sense of calm in the chaos. Yeah, I mean that's the simplest way to say it. So this is calm, right? Expansion capacity. You master this, you are calm. So the big takeaway I want you to have for today and for always, I want you to stop beating yourself up for not taking action, for not doing the things in your stretch zone, in your panic zone. I want you to assume and have this assumption that you're not the problem. It's not a personality problem. It's not like you're just not good enough. It's just untrained skills. That's it. It's just a skills gap. And we train these skills and then you can navigate these things and then you can start taking action, right? Because your body right now is protecting you. And it's like, we're not going to go take action on this. No, thank you. It's because we don't have the skills yet, right? Not the skills like certifications or the whatevers. It's we don't have the expansion capacity. When we build and train the expansion capacity, you're truly going to just surprise yourself, impress yourself, like, excuse me, day in and day out, which is how much you can handle and grow. Hold on. So, my loves, day one, move like a leader. The thing we worked on today, the thing we identified today, talked about today, expansion capacity. We have two more skills we're talking about over the next 2 days. And I am so excited to teach those. And then tomorrow, I'm going to give more information about the pre-sale for my mysterious academy that I have coming out. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your presence. Thanks for participation. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I was going to say episode. It's not an episode. I hope you enjoyed this training. I hope this really, the biggest takeaway, like I said, that I want you to have is like, it's not you. There's just these like kind of soft skills of leadership and growth and high performance that we haven't trained and that people don't really talk about. Like I've just kind of stumbled into this because I'm an overstretcher. I think that's why I stumbled into it because I kept overstretching and I was like, WTF, what's happening? And then I realized it, but it also is the same problem for the understretchers too. You just are not going to be faced with the problem as acutely. So you're welcome for me putting myself out there in such a way that caused me to learn things that now I can teach to you. Okay, my loves. that's what we got for today. I will see you back for the next 2 days. If you're watching this replay, feel free to drop comments with like anything that landed for you, anything that you want to take away from it. And yeah, I cannot wait for us to all just move like a leader, move and grow like leaders.